In a golden age of tennis, where the game has reached new levels of physicality and speed, one man has taken his sport into new territory.
It's amazing to watch that sort of player, a real modern type of player.
On this surface where he's the best, I think, that ever had played this game.
Combining athleticism and power with skill and determination.
He's become such a complete player. He's almost impossible to beat.
He shines even in an era of so many greats.
His record is phenomenal, and at his age to be so consistent, it's very nice to see.
He has such a winner mentality, something that I never seen in tennis before.
He's the best sportsman Spain has ever had.
I'm happy, more than happy, and I win much more than what I dreamed in my tennis career.
To rank amongst the greatest, you need to work harder than the rest. Learning equally from success and failure. Adapting and evolving. Emerging stronger, eventually defeating the best, as the world watches on the greatest stage of all.
Oh, I love the sport in general, no? But when I was a kid, I played a lot of football, a lot of tennis, and I was on the street all the day, running, playing with my friends. You know, Mallorca is it's a very quiet place, no, sometimes, and we are able to go to the street and play all the afternoon there.
And when he wasn't on the street, Rafa could be found at the tennis club in his hometown of Manacor, a village on the Balearic island of Mallorca.
Well, that's where I really started playing tennis. We have a fantastic weather here, so that makes possible to practice in very good conditions almost all the year. So I think I had a fantastic group around me. I started here with my uncle, and after that, a lot of very good players. When I was starting playing tennis was here, and I was able to practice with very good players.
From 9 to 12, I go to school. And then from 4 until 8, I play tennis.
It was Rafa's uncle Tony who spotted the boys' sporting prowess.
My uncle Tony, for sure, in my tennis career, is the guy who helped me much more. Now, without him, probably I never will be here playing this tournament today or winning titles in the past. No? So he's the most important person in my tennis career, in my life, for sure. He's a very important part of my life. He's my uncle, but at the same time, I spent a lot of time with him.
I believe that the respect that Rafa has for his uncle and Tony's ability to always be in the right place at the right time makes them a perfect team.
The Nadal family knew sporting talent when they saw it. Rafa's other uncle, Miguel Ángel Nadal, played for Barcelona and represented Spain 63 times. The Nadals would soon have much more to be proud of.
All my family, my parents, sister, the rest of the uncles, grandfathers, everybody was really important for me. I had a really, unit family, and that was really important.
1998 French Open champion Carlos Moya was also from Mallorca. It wasn't long before their paths crossed.
The first time I met him, he was 11 years old. I hit with him like 20 minutes. It was not back home, it was in Stuttgart. During the indoor tournament, he was playing an under-12 under-12 event, Nike event. And he was with a Nike person, came to me, and he asked me, that person asked me if I wanted to hit with Rafa 20 minutes. Then we started a friendship there.
Uncle Tony's hardline training regime sometimes upset the young Rafa. but the results were hard to argue with. At 15 years and 10 months, Rafa won his first ATP Tour match, defeating Ramon Delgado. And his grounding on clay had given him an advantage.
You have to work harder for the point, that's for sure. You don't rush like a guy comes from fast course, he wants to finish the point right away, and that's not possible on clay, because the ball comes back to you all the time. So you have to be a more complete player, so you know how to drop shot, maybe play a top spin lob, and better condition physically, you have to be stronger.
Rafa's clay court prowess would be shown to the world when at just 18 he was picked for Spain's Davis Cup team against 31-time champions, the United States. The tie took place in Seville on clay, and even though he was not even in the world's top 50 at the time, Rafa was selected to play ahead of former world number one Juan Carlos Ferrero. And though many were surprised at the inclusion of the young Mallorcan, the Americans had done their homework.
Nadal's played a lot of tennis recently. He's obviously got a tremendous future ahead of him, and he's a great player right now. So we sort of suspected that that could happen, and that doesn't mean that Nadal will play on the last day if it comes down to that.
The venue in Seville was renowned for its intense atmosphere.
I think that's a huge stadium. It's going to be full, 26,000 people. So it's going to be very exciting, and hopefully they're going to help us to win this very difficult tie.
Carlos Moya had been one of the guiding lights of Rafa's early career. But the young Spaniard would be on his own when he took on Andy Roddick, the world number two.
It's one of the unforgettable experiences in my life, especially in my tennis life.
The players had met at the US Open earlier that year, Roddick winning in straight sets. This time, though, Rafa caused a huge upset, defeating Roddick in 4 sets. In an exhausting baseline battle that lasted 3 hours, 45 minutes. The victory was crucial. Spain defeated the USA 3-2 to win only their second Davis Cup. Rafa became the youngest ever winner of a Davis Cup singles tie. He was on the road to superstardom.
Sure, that was the first big victory in my career, and in front of my people. It was really, really emotional.
Nadal would also lead Spain to the Davis Cup in 2008, 2009 and 2011. In 2005 saw Rafa make his first appearance in Paris at the French Open. He'd missed the previous clay court season through injury, but the Spaniard was in scintillating form going into the tournament, with victories on clay at Monte Carlo and Rome. He was seeded 4 at Roland Garros. On his 19th birthday, he defeated a certain Roger Federer in the semi-final. Before taking on Argentina's Mariano Puerta. In the final, Nadal triumphed in 4 sets to win his first Grand Slam title.
The same, when you win the first Grand Slam, it's like you take, you relax a little bit, because all my life working hard to arrive to win something like that, and finally you did. So you cannot believe at the beginning, because you say, well, nothing more important I can win right now. Just finally all my career, all my work since I was a kid makes sense now for this moment. So just high emotions. I remember myself after the final crying there in the chair, because it's a lot of time spending hours and hours there to arrive to that moment.
It heralded an unbelievable run on clay for Nadal, as he won 4 Roland Garros titles in a row, remaining unbeaten for 81 matches on the surface. His opponent in the 2006, 2007 and 2008 finals was Roger Federer.
He's been, quite unbelievable. He's never lost here. Even though he maybe should have, because he didn't play the first 2 times he had a chance because he was injured. But I think his record is phenomenal, and at his age to be so consistent, it's very nice to see. Of course, comes with some victims. I was one of them. 4 times now, once in the semis, 3 in the finals, and I wish I would have maybe had a chance to play someone else in the finals once, but you know, that's what I like about this challenge with Rafa. He's the best on clay for the last few years, and it seems like if you want to win the French Open, it goes through him.
If Rafa was the king of clay, Federer was the man on grass. The Swiss hadn't lost at Wimbledon since 2003 and appeared unbeatable on the All England club's turf. Rafa's first appearance at Wimbledon had been 2003, when he reached the 3rd round, but many said his game was not suited to the faster surface. No Spaniard had won Wimbledon in 40 years. Rafa was determined to buck the trend.
With this mentality that only champions have, little by little, he began to improve on hard courts and grass.
Working tirelessly to improve his technique, his stamina, his all-round athleticism. The hard work paid off, and in 2006, Nadal reached his first Wimbledon final. There was no surprise who his opponent was. Nadal had made great strides on grass, but Federer remained imperious. In 2007, they met again at Wimbledon, with Nadal taking the Swiss to 5 sets, but losing. Some doubted if he would ever be victorious at SW19.
We played a good final, 5 sets. 2007, I think, was a really good final too. No, it was the 5th set, he beat me, but I think it was a fantastic final.
It's such a prestigious tournament. Every player wants to win Wimbledon.
He wants to improve. He doesn't care about making records. He just wants to improve, and that's the key. I think is his mentality.
He's a great fighter who never gives up on any point or lost cause. He has the qualities that the great champions have, in so much that he knows what he has to do to overcome problems in the big matches.
Such a warrior. He has such a winner mentality, something that I never seen in tennis before. They say about Borg, probably I didn't know him when he was playing that well, but his mental part is something that I never seen before.
I think he improves, you know, almost every day because he's still so young. So I'm not surprised at all to see him back in the finals and expect a real difficult match.
In 2008, Nadal met Federer in their 6th Grand Slam final.
2008 was maybe you want to say that match because everybody all the time talked about that final. It was really emotional.
After another success at the French Open, Nadal returned to London and claimed his first victory at a grass court tournament, the Wimbledon warm-up event at Queen's Club. He went into the Wimbledon final on a 23-match winning run against a champion who hadn't dropped a set all tournament.
Seeing Bjorn in the royal box was great because either player could really be in tune with what Bjorn had accomplished and what they were trying to do. Roger was at 5 in a row, so he was trying to break Bjorn's record. And Rafa was trying to do something that Bjorn was the last guy to do in 1980, which is to win the French and Wimbledon the same year. I was anticipating a great match. I didn't expect the class that ended up taking place.
As the world watched, the two greatest players of their generation played out arguably the greatest match of tennis ever seen. Nadal drew first blood, winning the opening set 6-4. In the second set, despite dropping his serve early on, he broke back twice. With a stunning display of hitting, Nadal took the second set 6-4. A first Wimbledon title appeared a formality. But Federer was not a 5-time champion for nothing. A rain delay added to the drama, and the Swiss kept one hand on his crown with a tie-break victory in the third set. With neither player willing to concede any ground, Wimbledon centre court was treated to an epic. The fourth set also went to a tiebreak. Nadal had championship point, but Federer denied him, not once, but twice. The greatest match was going to a fifth set.
2 sets down for me, 2 sets up for me. After 2 sets all, he played fantastic in the sets, and the fifth set was, I think, one of the more emotional sets that I played in my career, and probably I'm never gonna play another set with that emotions now, because after losing 2 finals in a row in Wimbledon, 2006, 2007, was that moment for me to try to win.
The British weather intervened again before Nadal and Federer re-emerged onto centre court. The 15th game of the fifth set was incredible, ebbing and flowing, before Nadal finally gained the break. He served out to claim victory after 4 hours and 48 minutes of tennis. Nadal's reaction showed just how much it meant.
6-4, 6-4, 6-7, 6-7, 9-7.
Finally, Wimbledon always was my dream, so was unforgettable almost every point from that last point, and was probably one of the biggest wins in my career.
Every era needs a great rivalry, and tennis perhaps went through a little bit of a transition stage early on in this millennium, where it didn't really have that rivalry that it sort of spanned the 70s, 80s and 90s, but it found it in Roger and Rafa, and we're very lucky to have it.
Their rivalry is fantastic for the game of tennis. It's saved tennis in many ways, because Roger was so good that he was in a league of his own, and the interest for tennis around the world was sparked up by this young Spanish kid coming in and beating Federer. Who's this kid and what can he do? Wow, he can't lose on clay. He's a machine, but he can only play on clay. And then all of a sudden, having won Wimbledon, it was unbelievable.
I became a fan of tennis again, of this beautiful sport with so much drama and so much up and down and so much willpower involved, that I said, yeah, I'm happy to be here.
When he won that great final at Wimbledon, well, for me it was the greatest game of tennis I've ever seen in my life.
Well, I've played against him, I think, over 20 times in all the Grand Slam finals except the US Open, in many other finals as well, which we've had some amazing matches against each other.
It's a great rivalry because we played a lot of times, and in a lot of very important matches for our careers. That's why this is the rivalry, and was a good rivalry because it was always number 1 against number 2 against number 1. And our relationship always was the right one. So I think what make the rivalry big is this kind of matches happened already for 7 years, and that's what makes our match like a classic match.
Shortly afterwards, Nadal replaced Federer as world number 1 in the ATP rankings for the first time. But there was no resting on his laurels. A few months later, he was heading for Beijing as part of the Spanish Olympic team. In another memorable match, he defeated Novak Djokovic in the semi-finals. before claiming gold for Spain with victory over Fernando González in the final.
The experience was unbelievable. Being in the village with the rest of the guys was something that impossible to forget, no? Because when you are in the Olympic village, you really see what's the sport. Because we are very lucky to have a fantastic tour, like the football players too, basketball players too. But there is 100 sports that don't have our facilities, no? So they are practicing 4 years very hard for that moment, no? So that's really unbelievable, and I admire them a lot. So certainly I enjoy it very much. For sure, winning the gold medal was really fantastic for me, win a gold medal for my country, but I can say it was even more fantastic to live. I enjoyed the experience at the village.
– 2009 saw Rafa with another first as he won the opening major of the year, the Australian Open in Melbourne. Again it was Roger Federer who stood between the Spaniard and the title, and again Nadal came out on top. He followed this with his second Wimbledon crown in 2010, defeating Thomas Berdych in straight sets.
I think it's much more than even I expected. You know, I think he was going to be a great player. I thought he could win the French Open, maybe fight for being #1, top 10, but not. I never expected him to win twice Wimbledon, twice in the final, win Australia, win 5 Roland Garros, 7 Monte Carlos. That's something that not even he thought he could do that.
In 2010, he became only the second player in history after Andre Agassi to complete the Golden Slam by winning the US Open at Flushing Meadow, to add to his Roland Garros, Wimbledon, Australian Open and Olympic titles. He defeated Serbia's Novak Djokovic in the final, and the Serb has emerged as a serious rival to the Nadal-Federer axis.
He don't have no mistakes on his game, no good serve, positive volley, very good forehand, very good backhand, fantastic movements. He can attack very well, he can defend very well, so he's a really complete guy, very complete player.
In 2010, Nadal claimed revenge over his previous year's conqueror Robin Söderling in the French Open final. There was a 6th title at Roland Garros the following year, underlining how Nadal had made centre court in Paris his own, despite Roger Federer's best efforts. It was the 4th time in a row Nadal had defeated Federer in a major final. He could treasure his 10th Grand Slam title. But it was Djokovic who'd emerged as Nadal's main rival, and the Serb dominated in 2011, beating Nadal at Wimbledon, the US Open, and in another unforgettable match in Melbourne, in the first major of 2012.
Djokovic is doing fantastic for the last 4 or 5 years now, and last year was really amazing what he did. So he's one of these players that you saw him in front and the only way to beat him is play fantastic. To play against him always is a big challenge, and I enjoy that.
But whatever challenge is put in Rafa's way, he relishes coming back stronger.
I'm gonna go day by day. I'm happy, more than happy.
From the boy champion.
I win much more than what I dreamed in my tennis career.
To a sporting great.
I want to keep working hard to try to keep having chances to compete against the best players.
This is a supreme athlete with the swashbuckling style.
To try to have chances to keep being on the top and fighting for the important tournaments.
He had won all there is to win in tennis by the age of 24. Rafa Nadal's place amongst the legends of his sport is already guaranteed.